Hey everyone. So, as of right now, it's been about a year since my History of Christmas in 50 Seconds video. So, I just thought I'd give a little commentary and add a little more historical background and explain a few things.
The ancient Romans had a winter solstice festival called Saturnalia, which involved gag gifts and drunken partying.
Okay, the reason this audio sounds so bad is because I literally recorded it on an iPad in the closet. It was kind of rushed because I had to get it done in time for the Christmas holidays project for Bricks in Motion, and I don't think my microphone had been fully set up yet. Okay, about Saturnalia. Besides the gag gifts, there were also small figures made of wax or pottery called sigillaria. So the gifts were typically cheap and unfancy due to the whole role reversal aspect, which was like a huge theme of Saturnalia.
Then they became Christian and decided to celebrate Jesus' birthday on the solstice instead. The Germanic tribes did the same thing with their winter solstice festival of Yule.
Get it? Yule celebrate Christmas? It's a pretty lame pun. Hopefully you can tell that's a Germanic warrior with his long hair done up and his long mustache and all that. Okay, so I never actually explicitly say this in the video, but I sort of give the impression that Christmas was specifically designed to replace Yule and Saturnalia, but most historians say that that's not true. I mean, I'm sure there was some influence from Yule and Saturnalia. I mean, those similarities, there's just too many of them for it to be a coincidence. But the idea that it's just pagan festivals with Jesus slapped onto them it's probably not true at all. I mean, Christmas's pagan origins have often been overstated. And the fact that Yule and Christmas are often synonymous in terms like Yuletide and Yule log just makes things even more confusing. But the funny thing is, Yule almost certainly came after Christmas, since the first written reference to it was a few hundred years after the first written reference to Christmas.
There are other explanations for why Christmas is on the 25th, but that's a topic for another video.
So, just to go over them briefly, the calculation hypothesis is a theory that because March 25th, the spring equinox in the Roman calendar, was chosen for the date of Jesus' conception, they just chose a date that was 9 months later for his birth. The last two hypotheses here are pretty much the same thing. They both say that Christmas was deliberately chosen to be on the winter solstice. The history of religion hypothesis specifically says that it was designed to sort of replace the Roman festival honoring Sol Invictus, the sun god, which happened to be on December 25th.
By the Middle Ages,
yeah, the blue screen here is extremely obvious. You can even see it right there underneath the table. Also, that minifigure with the turkey on his head is the exact same one from ancient Roman times. Maybe he's immortal or something. And the turkey on his head is actually an anachronism, because turkeys are native to North America, and the Romans didn't even know that the Americas existed. Medieval Europeans didn't know about turkeys either, since this was before Columbus's voyages. Maybe the guy's a time traveler. Oh, and those brown things on the plate on the table, those are actually purple. They were supposed to be grapes, but the blue screen made them look brown for some reason.
Christmas had devolved back into drunken partying, and stayed that way for over 1,000 years. That's why the Puritans tried to ban it whenever they came into power.
The Puritans had other reasons for not liking Christmas, and if you want to hear them from the Witchfinder General himself, there's a link to this great video down in the description.
In 1843, Charles Dickens
That house in the middle is Charles Dickens' birthplace, which is a museum now.
wrote A Christmas Carol, which helped make Christmas more family-friendly and shaped many of the traditions that we have today.
Father Christmas was originally a personification of Christmas who later became a gift-giving figure and later heavily inspired Santa Claus. So the Ghost of Christmas Present, as seen here, wasn't specifically mentioned as Father Christmas, but he was definitely heavily inspired by him, and he heavily inspired future portrayals of the character.
When the Soviet Union came to power,
That guy on the right there is Vladimir Lenin. Hopefully you can tell by his cap and his facial hair.
Christmas was banned, and all the Christmas traditions were moved to New Year's. Meanwhile, in the capitalist world, corporations were turning Christmas into a celebration of consumerism. Then, in 1991, the Soviet Union broke up.
So the bars of the cage ended up being about the same color as the blue screen, which created this strange effect that makes it look like he's in some sort of magic cage. I think it looks pretty cool, honestly. It also makes his beard look like it's covered in ice or something.
Part in Christmas was unbanned, though it's still banned in North Korea and some Muslim countries.
The reason this map is zoomed in is because all the other countries are gray, and I wanted to focus on the more important part. Also, it never actually explicitly says this in the legend, but the ones in dark brown, where it's not a public holiday and not given observance, those are the ones where it's banned. Also, I made a mistake and forgot about Bhutan, the little brown one in between India and China right there, a country that isn't mostly Muslim, where Christmas is also banned.
And that's not even touching on the history of all those mythical Christmas figures.
Obviously, this is just some of them and is by no means a comprehensive list. Alright, let's go over them all briefly. Santa Claus, you already know who that is. Father Christmas, I already talked about him. Papa Noel, basically the Santa of the French-speaking world. Krampus, this demon-like creature from Alpine folklore who punishes naughty children by whipping them. Belsnickel is a character from the Palatine region of Germany, and he's kind of like a cross between Krampus and Santa Claus, because he's this grouchy old man who gives people gifts, but he also has whips for the naughty children. And no, this was not a character created by the writers of The Office. This is a real thing. Okay, by baby Jesus here, I'm referring to the Christkind, which is German for Christ child. Is basically the baby Jesus who comes to your house and gives you presents. So this is a tradition in parts of Europe and Latin America. Sinterklaas is basically the Dutch St. Nicholas. That's how Santa Claus got his name. Black Pete is Sinterklaas's assistant, who has traditionally been played by a guy in blackface. But recent versions of the character have been called Sooty Pete instead. The Yule Lads are the 13 characters in Icelandic folklore, and each one gives gifts in children's shoes and performs a specific kind of mischief. Gorilla is the Yule Lad's mother, and she eats naughty children. Did Moros translates to Grandfather Frost, is sort of like the Slavic Santa Claus, and a Kayane is a Catalan tradition in which nativity scenes include a figure of someone taking a crap. I swear to God, I am not making this up. This is an actual thing that actually exists in actuality. Sackman is a character from some parts of Europe and Haiti who carries naughty children away in a sack, and Buddy Hobbs is the protagonist of the movie Elf.
So, yeah.
Well, that was a commentary. I know I'm not the most eloquent speaker in the world, especially when I don't have a script and I'm in front of a microphone, but, hopefully you still enjoyed it anyway. Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays and all that.